All right, 2019. Drive and talk lesson. Now the question is, what is my take on life? What is life? What is life all about? Who created it? Well, guys, um, life is the end of a person's existence. In other words, life is death. So if you are living, you should be preparing for your expiration, the time that you will depart. And if that's the case, then this existence that we live in has to be the thoughts of someone. So what you call life is just actually the thoughts of a higher entity, this unseen entity. It's like we are dwelling inside of a big, gigantic brain of an entity. And what brings you into fruition, what brings you into this reality is the perception of the entity, via the thoughts. So we are all here because of a higher divine being perception. Because ask yourself this question: if everything started with a thought, then what makes you think that we are not the thoughts of someone? Like everything that you see around you started with thought. So if that's the case, this entire paradigm that we live in, this world, is, the womb or the brain of a certain entity. And if we live to die, then we know that if our lives are predicated upon the thoughts of an entity, then there are some things you can choose to remember and choose to forget. And so if you choose to forget, you might want to alleviate, eradicate, push out certain things in the mind. Well, if you do that, you push out certain things in the mind, you change the mind, and you just choose to, just forget a lot of things in the mind. You say, look, a lot of this stuff I'm going to just push out of my mind. I believe for an entity, if life is the thoughts of an entity, I believe if that entity decides to do that, then a lot of individuals gets killed off. Like when someone dies, or like when something dies in nature, like we have different seasons, dealing with the winter. The winter is the season of death. And I believe truly there is a point that everything must come to an end. And if that's the case, then could that not be that entity's thoughts? Could that not be that entity pushing out some things, belonging to the mind of that entity? So for an entity, this higher mystic unseen entity, if we are the thoughts of that entity can change his mind, and push out some of his thoughts, creating many of us what you would call to aspire to come to that ending point, or to cause nature to come to that ending point. So what is life? I believe life, this existence, is nothing but the thoughts of a higher divine being. And this how everything gets here, because in the Bible, in the New Testament, in the New Testament dealing with chapter 1 of St. John in the New Testament. It says, in the beginning was the Word. And when you look up that word, it says, in the beginning was the Word. This is John, the Gospel John, chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word. And when you look up that term word, you look at the etymology of it. If you do the science behind it, it says logos, which means thought. So in the beginning, it was a thought. Everything started with thoughts. You know, this is why the gods, the celestial beings, you know, in the origin of time, they said, in the beginning there was darkness. Everything was void in the beginning, and then out of the darkness, the God said, let there be light. Now, what is that light? Light is thought. Many of us associate light with thought. To enlighten someone, you know, to brighten someone, to light up someone, to inform someone, you know, to edify someone. That is to bring intelligence. That is to bring illumination. That's why if you are a dumb person, they will say you're not so bright, because you don't have your thoughts together. So I believe that this existence, what we live in, is nothing but the thoughts, or what you may say, the perception of a higher divine being that we may never know. And if that higher divine being decides to change his mind via push out some of his thoughts, you know, I believe this is what creates the alleviation of things here. So guys, this just was a short take on what I truly believe life is, what it is. Like I said, this is not factual, it's not legit. It's just my take on what I think life is, what it is. So guys, please share the video with family and friends. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.